Greetings. I'm just gonna reiterate what the President of America would have said when he stated that they do not know what the fuck they are doing. Well, I'm gonna add that they do not know what the fuck that they are doing in bed. Because for over 400 years, there's a people who have been brainwashed. And they've been repeating the same thing over and over and over and over because they do not know the power of the sexual energy and how to use it wisely to really bring a special and unique baby into this reality. And all of that is because they've been given secular Christianity that is pointing them to look outwardly. And they develop a religious and superstitious mentality that have been keeping them in mediocrity, keeping them in mental slavery, keeping them in doubt and fear and guilt and shame, having them living in self-doubt, having them living in self-hate, having them referring to a people outside of themselves as being chosen and deny themselves as being chosen. So because of that ignorance, there's so many people throughout the continent of Africa, the Caribbean, Central America, and as a matter of fact, all over the world. But I'm mentioning the continent of Africa as the motherland. Okay? And because of that, they've been replicating ignorance over and over and over and over because they do not know what the fuck they are doing in bed. They're just climbing into bed for pleasure. And the church convinced everyone that they have to sign a piece of paper and they have to pay the governmental establishment some money to partake in this energy transmutation or this energy exchange, this sacred and most creative, innovative energy that most people do not know. And that is why I would have written a book called The Truth About Marriage. I'll definitely encourage you to get a book, okay, plus many other books, okay? And your mood is your fortune, because what will help to influence your mood is your belief system. So if you have a messed up, fucked up belief system, that's the kind of person you're gonna become. That's why people would always quote, but the love of money is equal to all evil. Yet no one work harder to get it. As a matter of fact, they even give their backside and their shoulders to be inoculated in 2020 to 2022 because they had loans and mortgages and they were worshipping money, and money has become their master instead of they become the master of money, because they do not know that money is energy, and they do not know that they are carrying around that energy as currency, and because they are looking outwardly. So the main point they're trying to get across to you when I'm saying that they do not know what the fuck they are doing in bed, okay, it is because of where they are directing the energy. The energy is still being directed outwardly when you have a mindset of secular Christianity and you climb in bed and you think that you're now having righteous sex and you think others are having sinful sex and you believe that fornication and adultery have to do with sex. When you're living in fornication and adultery with the banks and the credit union and the church system and the political system, and you do not even understand that you are physical, you are psychological, and you are spiritual. So they keep you on one level, which is just the level of the animals. They have sex just like the animals, just for pleasure alone. When you are given mind and speech, and you do not understand mind and speech and how to use it and to live above the animals. So you live just in your five senses. We can see, taste, touch, and smell. And that's how our people been living. That's why many of our people are always being the employee instead of the employer. And so, for example, in the Caribbean, they set up what we call the hospitality industry. That's why I wrote a book called Bukomembe Resort and the Messenger, where I share my experience when I was working at a resort. Okay, and that's how I come to know certain things too. Because everything I do, everything I say, things I put in books, everything have to do based on my experience. Because I realize that true education is to draw out from. And you can only draw out from your experiences. Okay, not intellectualism, not based on basically just what you read in a book or what someone tell you. That is why the preachers been telling you a lie over and over for so many years. The politicians been lying to you over and over for so many years. And so they've been crucifying your Christ power, your Christ consciousness. Because one is promising you a good life while you are here if you give him your energy or your power. And then the other one is promising you a good life in the afterlife. After you leave here, if you give him your energy and your power. And right there, you are lying down. Okay, in adultery, you are lying down in fornication. That's why when the very book of mind science, which is the Bible, when it says that Israel opened up her leg for every man that passes by, what are you talking about? The idiots will tell you, oh, well, that one is symbolic. Yet they believe the Bible to be literal and secular history. That is pointing them to look outwardly. Well, I'm telling you that the entire book is symbolic. That is why you have to know how to use the energy wisely. For example, when a man didn't use the energy wisely, I think it's in Genesis 38, he was killed. But it is you who is destroying yourself and killing your God self when you do not know how to use your seed intentionally to create your reality consciously and to continue the generation after to create generational wealth. And you just clapping cheeks just like an animal. So my brother, my sister, it's time for us to get out of that kind of state of mind, which is the monkey mind. It is time for you to vibrate out of the reptilian brain and vibrate on the genius side, the right side, or the right hemisphere of your brain. It's time for you to vibrate on that side. Okay? And the only how that can happen is when you have a self-realized one, an enlightened one, who is mentoring you and sharing knowledge with you. And the knowledge that he's sharing with you is not for you to follow him. It is for him to point you to look within yourself to find the answers of life. It is him pointing you to say, man, know thyself and know how to use the sexual energy wisely. Stop going in the bed not knowing what the fuck that you are doing. Now, as I come to a close and I conclude everything, if you really look at the war that's been taking place, you will realize that it's two religions that is fighting. You realize it's Islam and Christianity, and those are the people who've been keeping black people in mental slavery. As a matter of fact, if you know anything about the Sahara, the Trans-Sahara slavery, you know where I'm coming from. And then you know anything about the transatlantic slavery, you know where I'm coming from. And then you will understand how it is still going on systematically. Okay, and then when you look at these warheads and so on, right? If you look at these warheads and look down, do that, child. Look at the warheads that they pelting at each other and look down, and you feel proud. You say, man, I am end down. You think you just end down just like that? The reason why you're the most endowed people in the world, it is because you are supposed to learn to use this most powerful energy. Okay? This is the whole energy that is running the entire universe. It comes from the sun. You are the sun people. That's why I've been always teaching that the sun parallels the human imagination, and the human imagination parallels the sun. For without the sun there's no life and there's no light, and without the human imagination there isn't anything made that was made. And they trick you and give you a S-O-N and tell you that the S-O-N is the light of the world. You can't look and see that the S-U-N is the light of the world. Can any S-O-N exist unless there first be the S-U-N? So they keep our people being mentally retarded. That is why they do not know what the fuck they are doing in bed. They're just going in bed. And all these religious and superstitious people who say they're married, they're having sex in ignorance. And so they bring back an ignorant baby saying, oh, Jesus is coming soon. And then they be a debt slave to the banks and the credit unions. How could that reflect God or the intelligence that give us nature? Nature always bring forth bountifully. The cheese always bring forth bountifully. The sea never run empty. So my brother, my sisters, it's time for you to, get out of the stupidity and get out of the religious mentality. So you will go in bed and you would use the energy wisely. You use it creatively and use it to create your reality consciously. Okay, so they are fighting a physical war, but you are in a spiritual and psychological war. And I want you to win the battle in your mind. So you go win the battle in bed. Because they weaponize black woman. And you take a strong man who can stand, okay, and who have the enough balls and enough guts to tell a black woman who becomes a little bit too masculine. He have to have the strength to say, shut the fuck up, and be able to be so wise to explain why he have to use those words to her, that she would submit and surrender herself and prove that what this man is saying is always true, and he's so intuitive and he's so led, and he's such a leader. Okay? And so if they're easily offended if you're telling them something like that, then you know that's the wrong person. Okay? Because they will go to a job and have these different people, whether doesn't matter which different race of people they go and work with, they always answer, yes sir, yes ma'am, and they're always submissive on the job, but they can't submissive to their man. They rather go and work in a lawyer office and go make coffee for the lawyer or whoever, okay, and they be submissive to them, but they can't be submissive to the black man, and they disrespect them. For example, you can see that many times and pop the balloon and so on. And so when some of them are doing like their own business and so on, they think they've been empowered. That's not empowerment. That's not empowerment. Okay, so my brothers and my sisters, get to know what you are doing in bed. Don't jump in bed. So you have to check out your head before you jump into bed. Okay, there's a calypsonian in my country that sing a song like that years ago. Check out your head before you jump into bed. Okay, but the church is what have the people mind messed up and have them jumping into bed without ever check out their head, because they give them a false union, which they call marriage, and the state always earn money from it. It's a game. The two biggest scam is being run by the church: the funeral program and the wedding program. That is why I'm saying you must check out my book that is called The Truth About Marriage, where I'll show you in the book of Mind Science in Ephesians chapter 5, where I say that marriage is a great mystery. And when you speak about Christ, you're not speaking about an entity outside of yourself. You're not speaking about a man 2,000 years ago. When you really discover your Christ consciousness, you would realize why I always say I have two middle fingers. One for the politician and one for the preacher. One who wants to promise you a good life while you're here, if you could only give him your energy. And the other one, who is saying that you will get a good life after you leave here if you give him your energy. So I'm sending the same message to both of them, because they intertwine church and state. Okay? When they were supposed to not, they were not to be intertwined. Okay? So all the things that these preachers are say they're preaching against, who you think does legalize it? Politician, and then they tell you, God give you leaders to lead you. Watch a deception. Watch a brainwash. Okay, so my brother and my sister, I can go on and on, but I'm going to come to close. I want to thank you very much for listening to me. I want to say to you, if this is the very first time that you listen to me what I'm saying, if it makes sense to you, if it really resonates with you, and you haven't subscribed already, I'm definitely encourage you to subscribe, to like, to comment, to share this video. Also, if you like to follow me on Instagram, you like to follow me on TikTok, you can definitely follow me at BlackMadGuru. If you like to get my books, all of the links are down below. You have about 10 or more books to choose from. And also, if you like to get a Bible with Jesus being omitted, you can get that Bible from me. Also, the 66 Books of Magic, the Overcomers Bible. Okay, so that is available to you also. And if you like to book a one-on-one with me, you can do so. You can drop me an email, and we can do it on a WhatsApp call, Zoom or whatever. Okay, I'll send you the terms and conditions and so on. If not, and you want to book a one-on-one with me on an app called Feature, the link is also down below. But I have to let you know that it's more of a religious app with a bunch of religious people on it. Men and women who call themselves prophet, prophetess, pastors, this and that on it too. Okay, but I took the invitation that they give me to be a part of it, and I continue to teach spirituality. Okay, and I continue to teach you to look inwardly. So if you want to book a one-on-one with me there, you are most welcome. Okay, so I think I would have already said everything. And my last encouragement to you, as usual, would always be to let your intuition lead you and guide you. And so when you check out all of the links that are down below, just let your intuition definitely lead you and guide you into what to do. So with that being said, I just want to say peace, love you all, out.